This is an art collage novel video. I made this series so you guys can experience the story faster. The video will focus on the character's psychology, the images are for illustration purposes only. Oh. Gongyang Jingqi was surprised. Since you have such a high evaluation of him, if this Li Yunxiao is really a promising talent, try to bring him to the Saint Realm. Mo Huayuan smiled wryly at the thought of Yunxiao's look of absolute control. How can someone like him be controlled? I'm afraid it'll be extremely difficult. We'll wait for the investigation results, Bai Lingyue said coldly. The management of the Holy Region is getting more and more lax. Those lawless people on the heavenly martial continent have already forgotten how powerful we are. That's right, Gongyang Jingqi said seriously. It's indeed time to establish our prestige. This time, we'll be as strict as possible. Everyone's heart trembled as they agreed. Gongyang Jingqi then dismissed everyone and left in a flash of light. In the pitch-black void, a beam of light was flying. Inside the light was a throne carved out of white crystal. Duanmu Youyu sat on it and the throne gave off a gentle light. As he flew through the void, the various energies in the surroundings avoided him. Duanmu Youyu held a thin deck of gold-rimmed cards in his hands. He flipped them continuously in his hands, forming various patterns. Suddenly, a card shot out from within. He held it in his hand and gently placed it in front of his eyes. The card was surrounded by a golden light, forming a picture that flashed on it. His eyes turned purple as he stared at it with full concentration. The picture on the final card condensed into a terrifying face with a strange smile. It was the god of death. I've tried several times in a row, but this is the only result I can come up with? What does the Grim Reaper mean? Duanmu Youyu tapped the armrest lightly and muttered to himself, Death God Pishio, Death God Pishio, could it be Death God Palace? He paused for a moment, then flicked his finger. The card in his hand suddenly exploded with a bang, turning into golden light and dissipating. Although I know the exact location of Death God Palace, it is that person's territory. Duanmu Youyu shook his head lightly and muttered, sigh, what a headache. The white jade throne shuttled back and forth as if it was flying, and soon disappeared into the void. Eastern Region, Boneyard. In the garden, Yunxiao's starlight soul body had been hiding in the dark surge for a long time. Suddenly, he frowned and looked at the Divine Realm tablet on the dynasty bell. As if sensing something, he turned into a beam of light and flew into it. The evil spirit on Mo Xiaochuan's body had been burned to the point of exhaustion. It had stopped wailing and was writhing in the air. Refusing a toast only to drink a forfeit, you're really cheap. That's good, Yunxiao said coldly. It just gives me a chance. He slapped his palm down, and 3 golden tadpole-like characters flew out from his palm and instantly entered Mo Xiaochuan's body. Mo Xiaochuan spat out a mouthful of blood. The golden energy suddenly bloomed within Mo Xiaochuan's body and struck his spiritual altar and sea of consciousness. It even penetrated the dome and shook the evil spirit's body. Arg! What kind of cultivation technique is this? The evil spirit's face was filled with fear. Half of its power was still in Mo Xiaochuan's body, but it had been severely injured by that palm and was almost jolted out. Yunxiao's face lit up with joy as he laughed and said, It's really useful. I thought it was useless, but it's so effective against you. This technique actually directly penetrates the soul, the evil spirit said in terror. Aren't you afraid of shattering this person's soul? Now that his soul is suppressed by you, and you are the leader, Yunxiao said coldly. You should be the one to disperse first. I don't deny that this might hurt Achuan, but as long as I can get rid of you, it's all worth it. He raised his hand again, and the 3 golden symbols glowed in his palm. They were the tadpole-like characters recorded in the Dragon Bone Pearl, and they were used to attack the soul. After the attack, Yunxiao gradually realized how terrifying the 3 words were. Originally, he was the one with the strongest soul attack in the entire heavenly martial realm, but he had to use eye techniques to shock the soul. However, this attack directly hit the body and shook the soul, which was simply impossible to defend against. Spiritual attacks could only be resisted by spiritual power or Emperor Qi of the Nine Heavens. With this attack that could directly attack the soul, no one under the martial sovereign of the Nine Heavens could resist it. Wait. The evil spirit cried out in horror, but Yunxiao did not talk to it at all. With another palm strike, he sent out 3 golden tadpole-like characters into Mo Xiaochuan's body and attacked his spiritual altar and spiritual ocean again. The evil spirit's face changed drastically. It was finally afraid this time. If it could completely control Mo Xiaochuan's body, it could still use its Emperor Qi to resist, but all the rules in the Divine Realm tablet were under Yunxiao's control, and the power in Mo Xiaochuan's body had long been suppressed to the point that he could not use it at all. Stop. I beg you to stop. The evil spirit suddenly begged for mercy. After being burned by the true phoenix fire for so long, it finally gave in. Yunxiao stared at it coldly and said, "You've already lost the right to negotiate with me. Don't you think it's too late to beg for mercy now?" Not too late. The evil spirit hurriedly said, "Your move is extremely harmful to the soul. Even if you want to kill me, this man's soul will be almost completely injured by you. Why don't we have a good talk? The only way to solve this problem is to reach an agreement." Yunxiao withdrew his palm force and sneered, "When did you become so quick-witted? If you want to live, it's easy. Just get out of his body." The evil spirit said bitterly, "Actually, my control over this body is getting weaker and weaker. I'll be destroyed by him one day. I've always wanted to come out, but I didn't have the chance to find a more suitable body." Yunxiao looked at him coldly and said, "Physical body? You still want to possess someone else? In your current condition, refining an artifact spirit is the best option for you. I advise you to give up on your wishful thinking." The evil spirit's expression changed, and it said in grief and anger, "Artifact spirit. Just kill me. I'd rather die than become an artifact spirit. It's better to die than to do that." "Is the artifact spirit as bad as you think?" Yunxiao asked with a frown. "Is it?" "Humph." The demonic dragon's disgruntled voice could be heard. He snorted coldly and said, "What do you think? Now you know how aggrieved I am as your sword spirit." Yunxiao's heart stirred slightly as an idea came to his mind, and then it spread out uncontrollably, his eyes shining. The evil spirit trembled and said in fear, "What evil idea are you thinking of to deal with me? In any case, I'd rather die than become an artifact spirit. Before I die, I'll use all my strength to scatter this man's soul as much as possible, and we'll all die together." Yunxiao narrowed his eyes and put on a kind and sunny expression as he said softly, "Brother evil spirit, don't be so agitated. Since you've rejected the path of an artifact spirit, I naturally won't force you. I hate forcing people to do things they don't want to. As you said, reaching a consensus is the solution to the problem. Then why do I see hostility and madness in your eyes?" The evil spirit asked, puzzled. "Ingluo, cough Ingluo. The perception of a spirit body is really sharp," Yunxiao said awkwardly. "That's because I've thought of a win-win solution. I wonder if you'd like to give it a try." With a wave of his hand, the scene in front of him immediately changed. Both of them appeared high in the sky, and a red shadow was slowly moving below. Pointing at the red shadow, Yunxiao said, "If you can take that thing over, I will not hurt you at all. I can even help your spiritual body to reach a higher level." The evil spirit looked down in confusion and said in shock, "That thing's power is so strong and evil." Yunxiao was referring to the blood beast. If the evil spirit could possess the blood beast and control it, he would be able to obtain the breathing earth, and even take out all the profound level weapons in the blood beast. Although this thing is extremely powerful, it has a very low intelligence, Yunxiao said. With your intelligence, you will be fine. As long as you can possess it for an instant, I'll be able to suppress it and you'll be able to come out in time. When the time comes, I can help you find a good body." The evil spirit seemed to be a little tempted and said, "Really, just a moment? The body you give me can't be worse than this one." Yunxiao's face darkened as he said unhappily, "It can't be worse than this? Do you know that Xiaochuan is a 4-star martial emperor? Where do you expect me to find someone stronger? You're overestimating me. The evil spirit remained silent and said, you'll have to at least have the body of a martial supreme and help me with the possession. You have that soul attack divine skill, which can help me completely crush the soul of the original owner. It will make my success rate 100%. I can agree to your request, Yunxiao said. But it's not easy to find a martial supreme. You have to wait for an opportunity. I understand. The evil spirit seemed to have agreed, but there was still deep worry in its eyes. It was not known whether it was afraid of Yunxiao going back on his words or was shocked by the blood fiend's aura, which made it a little afraid. You'll have to rely on yourself to possess the blood beast, Yunxiao said. I can't help you. The evil spirit's body began to seep out of Mo Xiaochuan's body. This faint red spirit body flowed out of Mo Xiaochuan's 7 orifices and slowly fused together in the sky. Yunxiao teleported Mo Xiaochuan to the foot of Mount Inch. Yuan Gaohan was still busy helping him with the 4th sword, so he did not want to disturb him. Therefore, he sent Gu Yuesheng a few words of advice. At this moment, the evil spirit's fusion was complete and it had a complete body. There were 2 horns on its forehead, making it look like a demon. This buy-in. Yunxiao was taken aback, and he looked horrified as he said, who did you use as a blueprint for your appearance? The evil spirit was stunned for a moment and said, what? What's wrong? I didn't specifically use anyone as a blueprint. It's just that it looks like this after it was condensed. It has been like this for a long time. Yunxiao was even more puzzled. Do you know who was the woman who gave birth to you? You mean that? The evil spirit shook its head and said, I don't know. I only know that I was born with this appearance, and I have a very strong thought in my mind. I must protect that woman, Lao Ai. He suddenly showed an evil expression and roared, I'm not a demon. You were the one who destroyed the statue. Damn it. The evil spirit seemed to be enraged all of a sudden. It bared its fangs and brandished its claws at Yunxiao, as if it wanted to devour him. The cold air around Yunxiao dissipated as he said coldly, you're getting hot-headed again. The evil spirit was startled and suddenly recalled the current situation. It had completely come out of Mo Xiaochuan's body and had no bargaining chips to challenge him. It immediately broke out in a cold sweat and returned to its original form. I couldn't control my emotions just now. I've had these emotions since I was born. I wanted to protect that woman at all costs. Yes, I roughly understand. Staring at the sky, Yunxiao fell into deep thought, then slowly speculated, Shang's Jushi wheel is an item of the demon race. The fact that a woman can appear on it proves that she is a member of the demon race. The appearance that you're currently taking on is exactly the same as the rain demon's true appearance, which proves that the statue of that woman was definitely created by an ancestor of the Rain clan. Furthermore, it was infused with his determination to protect the woman. That's why you inherited the will of that great demon after you were born. I see. The evil spirit nodded continuously. Although I don't really understand, it sounds very powerful. Is there any other information in your mind besides the belief to protect that woman? Yunxiao asked. The evil spirit thought for a while and shook its head. Forget it. The matters of the ancient past have long disappeared with time. There's no point in pursuing it now. Yunxiao sighed. The side profile of the demon woman in the underground palace still appeared in his mind, and he would never forget it for the rest of his life. The evil spirit's mind was completely focused on the blood fiend. Enough chit-chat, let's get down to business. I hope you can enrage it, so that I have a greater chance of seizing its body. This is because when the soul is angry, it is at its weakest. That's easy. Yunxiao nodded. Come to my hand. The evil spirit turned into a beam of light and fell into Yunxiao's right hand. With a casual wave of his left hand, a bolt of lightning struck down from the sky and struck at the blood fiend without any warning. Boom. The blood fiend sensed the danger and jumped away. It looked at the sky with fire in its eyes and saw that the ground had been struck by lightning, leaving a huge pit. With a smile, Yunxiao turned into a beam of light and shot toward the blood fiend like a shooting star. The blood fiend flew into a rage. It threw its head back and roared, then spat out a bolt of lightning that shot toward Yunxiao. Yunxiao cried out as he conjured another thunderbolt. The two forces rumbled in the sky, turning into hundreds of millions of electric arcs that spread out in all directions, filling the sky with lightning. Motherfucker. As expected, it's a self-formed rule force, and it's actually on par with the rule of thunder in the Divine Realm tablet. Cold sweat seeped out of Yunxiao's forehead. With just one blow, the sky had begun to crack. If they continued like this, the space inside the Divine Realm tablet was very likely to be destroyed. Seeing that its attack had failed, the blood fiend roared again. This time, it spat out a beam of blood-red light from its mouth, and a blood-red ruler grew larger in the air before it slammed down on Yunxiao. Yunxiao's eyes narrowed as he snorted coldly and said, "Not everything can show off in my territory." With a point of his finger, the blood ruler immediately solidified and shrank rapidly, falling directly into his hand and being kept. The blood ruler was not an ancient object. There were no golden tadpole-like characters on it, and it did not have its own power of rules. As soon as it came out, Yunxiao suppressed and collected it. Then, he teleported and appeared in front of the blood fiend. He struck it with his palm. The blood fiend stood there in a daze. It didn't understand how the ruler had been subdued by the other party as soon as it had left. In its body, although the ruler was not as powerful as the hammer, it was still an extremely powerful item that was not much inferior to the hammer. It could not figure it out, and it did not have time to think about it. Yunxiao's sudden appearance in front of it infuriated it. With a sudden roar, a monstrous blood-red force shot out of its mouth and hit Yunxiao. Yunxiao's skin turned golden in an instant, and the bright moon divine light also came out of his body to quickly purify the blood qi. The evil spirit in his palm slammed into the blood fiend's body and he shouted, "I'll be waiting for your good news." The power of the blood sea burst out of the blood beast's body and immediately sent Yunxiao flying hundreds of meters away. He stopped in the air and stared at it coldly. As soon as the evil spirit entered the blood fiend's body, it immediately rushed into the blood fiend's soul and began to fight for control of the body. The entire area below turned into a sea of blood in an instant, and a powerful force surged out. It was extremely intense. Yunxiao watched calmly as the blood beast transformed into its true form. A sea of blood covered the sky and shrouded him, but he just watched quietly, waiting for the moment the evil spirit took control of its body. More than a dozen profound-level weapons also gushed out one by one, rolling in the blood sea. They all exerted their maximum power and rushed out of the blood sea one by one, as if it was the end of the world. Yunxiao's face was also filled with shock. These profound-level weapons had all been refined by the blood beast. This was the Divine Realm tablet, and his power of rules could suppress all profound-level weapons except the hammer. But in the outside world, who could suppress it when it was so fierce? The shocking power displayed by this external appearance was enough to speculate how intense the soul competition was inside. Yunxiao was also a little worried. If the evil spirit failed, it did not matter if its soul was destroyed, but he was afraid that the blood beast would go berserk and break the power of the world with its hammer to escape. If that happened, he would never be able to catch it again. His eyes suddenly focused and he said coldly, "Let me give you a hand." The three tadpole-like characters that attacked the soul condensed in his hand at once. He raised the wind and cloud palm, and the surrounding sea of blood dissolved with a thought. The palm force was like the rising sun piercing through the dark clouds, and it struck down fiercely. The power of the wind and cloud palm shook into the sea of blood, causing a monstrous blood light to rise. The three characters directly entered the sea, flashed, and sank into it. Roar. A deafening roar rang out, as if the blood fiend's souls had been injured. The 10 over profound level weapons in the air suddenly emitted a powerful light, and there were signs of them exploding. Yunxiao sucked in a cold breath. Even he was frightened by this. If these profound level weapons exploded, the entire Divine Realm tablet would probably be destroyed again. The explosion of the profound level weapon flashed and suddenly stopped. The voice of the evil spirit suddenly rang out, "Hurry up, I can't hold on any longer." Yun Shao was overjoyed, knowing that it had gained temporary control. He suddenly raised his right hand, and beams of light flew out of it. Slowly, a small cauldron emerged, growing larger and larger. As he opened his hands, the inscriptions on the cauldron began to flash, and various colors began to appear around it. The cauldron of mountain and river's world power was opened, and 9 colors spread out, piercing through the entire blood sea and enveloping it. Then, Yun Shao struck out with the mark of Wisdom King, which immediately shook the lid of the cauldron, and an unparalleled force began to suck the entire blood sea into it. Arg! What was this thing? Don't suck me in! The evil spirit shrieked in fear. It could also feel the terrifying power of the cauldron of mountain and river. Fear and fear rose from the bottom of its heart. Don't worry, Yun Shao said lightly. The most important thing now is to suppress this blood fiend. You'll stay in there for a while. When I have enough strength to refine it, I'll let you out. Boom boom boom. The entire world of Bloody Sea was absorbed into the cauldron of mountain and river. The lid of the cauldron, which was covered with 9-colored light, fell down and let out a huge roar. Yun Shao performed an incantation gesture, and the world power of the cauldron of mountain and river slowly retracted. The body of the cauldron returned to normal and began to spin in the air. The cauldron of mountain and river was also a saint weapon, and it had the complete power of the world. Even if the blood beast had a hammer with the rule of thunder, it wouldn't be able to break it. Moreover, this cauldron was a divine item that could refine all living things. As long as it was given enough time, even a peak martial supreme would be completely refined in it. Yun Shao wiped the cold sweat from his forehead. Driving the cauldron of mountain and river was still a great burden on him, not to mention that he had just separated his starlight clone, which consumed a lot of his soul power. He performed an incantation gesture, and the phoenix divine flame slowly descended from the sky and began to burn the cauldron. His goal was to refine the blood beast and take out the swelling earth and the hammer. As for the other profound level weapons, although they were precious, other than the ruler, they were not worthy of his attention. If you play like this, that evil spirit will probably be finished. The demonic dragon's body appeared, and he looked extremely displeased as he said, "You're breaking your promise." What? Yun Shao snorted. Are you angry? We are both spiritual bodies, but I feel sad for you. The demonic dragon said in a deep voice. Yun Shao smiled and said, "It's not as serious as you think. My method of refining is only to refine the fiendish energy in the blood beast and break down its body structure. In this way, it can be completely subdued without hurting its soul. The evil spirit would only suffer a little inside. At most, I'll just find a stronger body for it to settle down in." I hope so, the demonic dragon said coldly. Yun Shao nodded slightly and said, "How's your cultivation of the dragon bone bead?" At the mention of this item, the demonic dragon's interest was piqued. He said with exultation, "I've already refined it into my body, and I've obtained an unexpectedly powerful strength." He didn't expect the rumor of the 9 creatures transforming into dragons to be true. The descendant of the heavenly black dragon was able to suppress all the experts in the city with just 3 dragon-type secret treasures. It was truly incredible. If he gathered all 9 and transformed into a true dragon, wouldn't he be invincible? Ancient true dragons can only be derived by gathering the dragon chi of heaven and earth, Yun Shao said thoughtfully. Although there is such a legend about the 9 creatures transforming into dragons, it is too unreal. It was extremely difficult to gather the 9 items. However, Ing Luo. He said thoughtfully, there are many treasures in the 4 seas. It shouldn't be difficult to gather 9 dragon objects with the power of the 4 seas. However, I've never heard of a real dragon being born. There must be something strange about the dragon transformation.